So I generated a 3D model with just 3 photos, and it came out way cleaner than the one I used 1,000 photos for with my traditional pipeline. How is that even possible? That's exactly what generative 3D platforms such as Hitem3D are doing right now, the sponsor of today's video. Version 2.1 of their model just dropped, and I'll be showing how you could use their platform to take images and turn them into 3D models. Just some quick tips before we get started. If you want to have a good result, you want to have a clean background, single object, and a clear silhouette, that's where the model shines best. And if that isn't possible for you, you still have some workarounds. Now, once you're ready to actually generate a 3D model, you can see some options on the left, and it can be quite confusing right off the bat, especially if you're new to AI image to 3D model generators. But let's go over it so you can understand. So we're running the new version 2.1 model, and there's 2 modes to this model. The fast setting I recommend for quick iteration, or if you want a background object for your scene. The key benefit to using fast mode, it's in the name. A generation can take between 2 to 3 minutes, so that's pretty quick. But for this video, I'm sticking with quality because I want to show how capable this model actually is. As for generate type, if you're not working with any textures, then you could set it to geometry. But for the majority of work that I'm doing, as well as many other creators, you would want to stick with geometry plus texture. The next option is license, and there's 2 options. CC by 4.0 essentially gives up your asset to the public domain so other people can use it. If you want your object or generated model to be your own personal asset, then you would have to stick with the premium membership, and then it enables the private selection. As for the advanced options, I'm not gonna go too much into detail regarding this, but you have way more control regarding PBR options, texture settings, UV mapping, as well as your output face count. The way to generate 3D models on this platform is incredibly easy. You don't even need to type in any prompt. You're simply taking an image that you generated or an image that you captured of a real life object, dragging and dropping it into the box to upload it, and hitting generate. So just like that, I drop in that single photo that I captured of this basilica in Poland. You can see that it is a high quality capture. You want to have a clean photo, no blurriness, no camera shake. You want to have as little camera noise as possible. Just make sure you have a clean image because that results in a better generation. So from here, we're already ready to generate the 3D model, but I actually recommend using multi-view to 3D instead of the just single image to 3D pipeline, as having multiple images can result in a higher quality output. So once I switch from image 3D to multi-view to 3D, it shows a different type of upload interface, which allows you to upload images from 4 different views. The front view is required, and then the 3 other views are optional. So in that case, I have 3 different images. I have the front view, which I'll upload here, as well as the left view and the back view. And I don't actually have a right view. As for remove background and image enhancement, I suggest having both of those enabled, as it can result in better outputs. So I just hit generate for the multi-view to 3D pipeline, and while that's running in the background, I want to show you the result of the 3D model that I made using the 1,000 photos. So the way that you're seeing this actual scan is pretty similar to the path the drone took while I was recording this footage for the scan. Now, if we take a closer look at this 3D model, if we look at the backside, you can see that there's a whole missing chunk. That's because the camera didn't reach this side to capture the data required for the photogrammetry. On top of that, if we get a little bit closer to look at the details of this 3D scan, there is quite a bit of detail loss. It is missing quite a bit of the intricate details, and there are a little bit of warped textures if you look closely on specific spots. So the 3D model finished processing, and you can see the result of it right off the bat. You could see that the result has less artifacts than the photogrammetry scan. It isn't 100% accurate to the real life image, but just from a structural standpoint, this is far more usable than the photogrammetry that we did. Matter of fact, if I actually take this 3D model and put it side by side with the 3D scan, you can see what I mean. If we go up close to the entrance, we can see that it has lost quite a bit of detail. It's kind of hard to make out what you're really looking at as compared to the entrance here. The doors themselves are clear as well as the pillars. My favorite part about this workflow is that it was able to recover areas of the building that weren't seen by the camera while we were scanning. As for the 3D model here, you can see that it's just one giant mush, but on the scan that Hitem outputted, it did fill in those gaps quite nicely, and we actually have it usable by all sides. As for the one with the photogrammetry, we're gonna only be able to use it from specific sides, and we would have to hide the fact that there isn't anything quite visible from the back-facing side of it. On top of that, if we look at the tall spire on the left, you can see that it did capture or generate the fine detail that we were talking about. If we zoom in here, we can see that these little rods aren't really visible in the scan. You can see it right here, but it isn't its own distinct mesh. It's kind of just all morphed into one mesh soup, if that makes sense. Now, the one thing I also want to highlight is on the left side, we have an actual still image that was used to generate the model as well as the 3D scan. And if we compare this to the 3D model that was generated, you can see that it does remix the output slightly, and that is to be expected with these 3D model generators. If you zoom out a bit, it does keep the same general structure, but once you zoom in, those fine details as well as structures of the facade are changed, even though it does still keep the general spirit of the building itself. Another thing to note is that if you don't like the output or there's some sort of issue with it, you get 3 free retries. I already used 2 of them. You get several shots without spending additional credits to get the 3D model that you're looking for. And also in this video, I highlighted primarily the multi-image 3D model, as if we do a top-down view, you can see it's most accurate to the actual 3D scan. Another model that I do want to highlight is the version that I used the one image for instead, as I believe it has much greater detail in the design as well as it keeping more closely true to the original details. So feel free to play with both modes and see which one works better for your use case. There are trade-offs to both modes. If you want more global accuracy, then you would want multiple reference images. But if you want better accuracy with detail, then you'd want to stick to the single reference image mode. So once you have this finished 3D model, what can you actually do with it? So many people are using these generative platforms for many different things. They use it for 3D animation. People also bring in assets that are generated and turn them into video game assets or characters. And also on Hitem's website, they even have documentation on how you could take your generated 3D models and turn them into 3D prints. So if you want to try out Hitem3D for yourself, I either have a code or link down in the description. And the first 200 people get 500 extra credits, as well as 50% off the monthly plan. And if you're not convinced yet, Hitem3D, they do have a free trial. So if you just want to play around with it, then go have fun with it. And if you end up doing something with it, be sure to let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear what kind of stuff you make with it. That's the end of this video. If you're into creative tech, I'm always covering what's emerging, what's new, what's changing in the industry. So be sure to subscribe so you don't miss a single thing.